Welcome to 7 Feng Shui Secrets to Create Wealth, Health, and Harmony. My name is Pat Sendejas. Many of you know me. I'm known as America's leading authority on personality Feng Shui and your host tonight. And I have extensive background in interior design and architecture and Feng Shui. I began my interior design business over 30 years ago after graduating from UCLA's Interior and Environmental Design program. While teaching part-time at Moore Park College, I completed a BA degree in design at the same time at a commercial remodel for a real estate company and raising 2 teenage sons while my husband, a fire captain, balanced our family and his dedication to his firefighting family. So it was a really busy time for me. And I continue to maintain CCIDC, which is accreditation from California Council of Interior Design Certification. And now, for almost 2 decades, I've been studying and experimenting and consulting on Feng Shui. So when I added that ingredient to my interior designing, my clients began to experience rapid movement forward in their careers, an increase in wealth, better sleep, more family harmony, and improvements in their health. I started my interior design business when I was 7, if you can believe that. I stayed overnight at a friend's house in Nebraska where I lived, and I said to her after we went to bed, let's go downstairs and rearrange your parents' furniture. In the morning, her mom was very gracious, but my family moved to California, so I never knew if I would have been invited back. And I've been consulting for almost 2 decades, and I'm also an author of several books. So most people do not realize how much their environments are a reflection of what is going on in their life. The purpose of this webinar today is to help you better understand the ancient nature science of Feng Shui in order to gain a deeper insight and respect for this ancient wisdom, to be able to make some simple changes to your environment to immediately start to experience results, to better understand how your environments are a reflection of your desires and thoughts. And when you feel good in your environment, it's much easier to be clear and focused and attract what you desire. The 7 Feng Shui secrets I'm going to cover tonight, so we're going to really have fun, is the philosophy of yin and yang to achieve balance in your life and reduce stress. I'm going to show you some photos of interiors on how yin and yang is applied to your own life. And then Feng Shui personalities and how to enjoy harmony in your relationships, and how to know if your house is compatible with you. And then tips to improve your sleep. I'll show you some floor plans and some photos of interior bedrooms so that you can really get a good idea on how important good sleep is. And then suggestions to make your office a wealth-producing machine. And then outdoor remedies to increase your bank account and improve your health. And then our 7th Feng Shui secret is interiors to avoid that cause loss of money and clients. So be sure that you have a paper and pen to jot down notes, because you'll be receiving the formula to chart your Feng Shui personality trigram element type. Plus, I'll be giving you your best directions for sleep and how to position your bed. So you'll want to take notes on those 2 important things. My special announcement today: if you enjoy this video, I plan to share how you can receive many more Feng Shui videos like this. So stay with me to the end to hear how you can receive more beneficial and valuable information to Feng Shui your own home. I want to share with you Melody Calderwood. She's owner of the Pacific Breeze Salon here in Thousand Oaks, California, and this is what she had to say about Feng Shui. I've been consulting with Pat and had my yearly Feng Shui reports done on both my home and my business for 10 years now. There is a noticeable difference in the flow and ease of my life, relationships, and finances when I am following the Feng Shui suggestions from Pat. In fact, Feng Shui is the first thing I look to when experiencing challenging times. Usually altering a remedy helps the flow once again. And another client of mine, Dr. Darren Clare of Vibrance Medical Group here in Westlake Village, had this to say. Pat Sendejas came to my office on Friday to consult with me for Feng Shui. I started making some of the changes Pat suggested immediately, and by Monday I had received a $2,600 payment from a client who had owed me money for some time. And another client who I had not seen in a couple of years called me to purchase $2,000 of my cosmetic line. We have seen noticeable increase in business expansion since our Feng Shui consultation. Remember to stay to the end of the presentation for my special announcement on how you can access all this information here today, plus have access 24/7 anytime you desire to the other 22 secrets of Feng Shui. What is Feng Shui? Let me give you a quick overview of the traditional Feng Shui I use. But first, let me tell you what traditional Feng Shui is not. Traditional Feng Shui is not the Feng Shui that uses mirrors and crystals. It's not the Feng Shui that's based on superstition. It's not the Feng Shui that focuses on the front door, which you may have heard about. And this is not the Feng Shui that refers to the love corner and the marriage corner. And this is not black hat Feng Shui or a religion. Black hat Feng Shui, for those of you who don't know this one, is based on the front door and speaks about everyone's home having a marriage corner and a love corner. It was designed by a young man from Berkeley and it's not based on the cycles in nature where energy is constantly changing. This young man from Berkeley designed the black hat Feng Shui about 50 years ago. Feng Shui, traditional Feng Shui that I practice, is a nature science. It's based on the observation of cycles in nature. For example, the seasons like fall change to winter, to spring, to summer, and then you have the sun setting and rising, and you have the tides changing from high to low, and then plants. Fruit will ripen on a tree and then fall. And then change also comes from the book of I Ching, where this was all formulated and based on the traditional Feng Shui. Change is the one thing we can always count on. Here's an example of the ocean wave pictured here, and it shows how nature is constantly changing, and that's what the traditional Feng Shui is based on, everything always changing. This is the Chinese imperial palace, and the imperial palace pictured here was the royal residences of the emperors from the 15th to the 20th century. Located in Beijing, it's known as the Forbidden City. Forbidden referred to the fact that no one could leave or enter the palace without the emperor's permission. Historically, Feng Shui was widely used to orient buildings, often spiritually significant structures such as tombs, grave sites, but also dwellings and other structures. Traditional Feng Shui was used to determine an auspicious site by reference to local features such as bodies of water, or the stars, or a compass. And before the invention of the magnetic compass, Feng Shui originated in Chinese astronomy. Feng Shui dates back 5,000 years. The origin of Feng Shui as a separate Chinese science is hard to determine because it's based on secret knowledge used primarily by Chinese emperors, who each retained a full-time Feng Shui master. Feng Shui began as a way to protect the emperors of China and their families by creating and maintaining health and prosperity. This was a secretive practice passed on through word of mouth, and only a male could be selected to train to become a Feng Shui master. Selected from the family of siblings, this person would be expected to study Feng Shui their entire life. And for all of you women on the call, women were not allowed to study or practice Feng Shui due to their marriage taking another family name. Therefore, this secret knowledge was not allowed to be transferred out of the original family line of Feng Shui masters who carried the family name forward. This is really cool. Many well-known people today practice feng shui in secret that you don't even know, who are very famous, and you would recognize them. And in 2008, the Daily News article reported a professor of sociology and Latino studies at Pomona College said using feng shui at McDonald's in Hacienda Heights, California, was a perfect example of global capitalism's co-opting people's culture. She added, it is a microcosm of changing United States. Newspapers reported that Disney began redoing all of their amusement parks according to feng shui principles after building their theme park in Hong Kong. Feng shui secret number one, the philosophy of yin and yang to achieve balance in your life and reduce stress. Yin and Yang theory is based on the book of I Ching, known as the Book of Change. It is said that one thing can always be counted on, and that is that things will always change. The Yin and Yang theory was developed in the pre-Christian era about 1,000 years before Christ. So this slide illustrates the Yin and Yang symbol. The Yin on the right, represented by the dark area, represents water dripping to its lowest point. It also represents winter, cold, wet, dark, sour, bottom, soft, decreasing. And we know that the month of December has the shortest day of the year, which is the darkest and often the wettest time of year. The yang on the left of this symbol, represented by the white color, is symbolic of fire burning upward to its highest point. It also represents summer, hot, dry, light, sweet, top, hard, and expanding. The curved line you see running down the center indicates that everything is always changing, and the white dot on the black side indicates there is always a little sun on a dark mountain sometime during the day. The dark spot on the white side also represents how there is always a little bit of dark in the light as things always change. For this symbol to be correctly portrayed, the black side needs to be placed on the right and the heavy black part at the bottom with the white portion on the left. If the symbol is backwards, then you know the person using it doesn't understand its true historical meaning. This photo illustrates a room that is too yin. It's too dark. This can cause people to become depressed. When the weather's very hot outdoors, people may choose to close the shades, shutting out the sun, creating a room that's too yin, often resulting in depression for its occupants. This room is too yang. This causes the occupants to become irritable. Oftentimes when someone's working at a desk in an office and they're right by a window, and as the sun gets brighter during the day and that sun comes into the office while they're working, they'll start to get really irritable and they won't understand why. And it's because there's so much brightness coming through the window and there's so much glare on the desktop with the white papers. So remember to always think about the balance of light and dark within your spaces to have a more relaxing space. This room has a nice balance between the light and dark. It is also a good designed room, adding to the balance because there are only 3 colors used in the room. You'll see yellow, green, and white. When more colors are used in a room, it becomes too energetic and increases stress to the occupants. People who love color may tend to use too many colors in one room rather than limiting the color palette to only 3 colors, which can cause lots of stress if you add more colors and too much going on. Feng Shui secret 2. What's your Feng Shui personality? And is it in harmony with your relationships? Feng Shui personality profiling. This is based on a person's year of birth to determine their nature element and East-West group type, which I'll explain in a minute. This charting was used to match marriages and select leaders in China. Okay, on this page you'll find the formula to figure out your personality trigram element type. Grab your paper and pen and jot down this formula as I go through and explain it. So to determine your Feng Shui personality type, Start with your year of birth. We're going to use the example of 1967 here. And note, if your birthday is between January 1st and February 5th, then work with the previous year. In this case, that would be 1966. In this example, we'll use a person born after February 5th in the year 1967. Always use February 5th as the beginning date of a new Chinese Feng Shui year. Do not confuse it with the earlier date when the Chinese celebrate the Chinese New Year. The formula: add each number of the year. So add 1 to 9 to 6 to 7, and you have 23. Divide that by 9, and it's 2, 18. And 18 from 23 is 5. So what we want is the remainder 5. Now we're going to use a constant number you're always going to use. Women will use the number 4, and women will use the number 4 and add the remainder. So 4 plus 5 equals 9. And men will use the constant number always of 11 minus the remainder, which would be 11 minus 5, in this case, would be a 6. And note that exception again on your paper. Remember, anyone January 1st through February 5th use the previous year. Okay, this is the magic square. Pictured here, this was established to determine the element types for people and houses and numbers associated with each direction. It was never to be used to remedy changing energy in a building. Look up your number on this chart from the previous calculation to see your element type and the number 1 best sleep direction and your best house type. This illustration is called the magic square because if you add up all the numbers in any direction, going diagonal, going horizontal, or going vertical, each row will add up to 15. This was the chart that they used to create the black hat Feng Shui developed over 50 years ago by the young man I told you from Berkeley. But it doesn't factor in the permanent energy that's captured when a building's built, when the roof goes on, and it doesn't factor in the changing yearly and monthly visiting energies that are constantly changing within a building. So that's why he always tells people in the fire part of your house, use fire. In the south part of your house, always use fire. And the reason we don't do that is because the visiting energy can come in during a month and be delays, and adding fire to that would cause more delays. So we want to make sure that you know that there is a difference. This chart is based on creating the numbers and the directions for each element type. So let's say you're a number 1, for example. Then you would be a water, and your best sleep direction would be north, as pictured there at the bottom. Okay, let's move on and take this another step further with your personality charting. The Feng Shui productive cycle. So you look at your birth number and find it here on the chart. And by the way, there is no 5 for people, because if you noticed in the last example, 5 is in the center. And there is no direction for sleep or for a house. So for males, that 5, if you had a remainder of a 5, would go to the number 2. And for females, if you ended up with that formula, not a remainder, but the formula ending in a number 5, for females, it would automatically go to 8 because we can't use a 5 for personality charting. So if we begin here, I'm going to go through each of these and show you, first of all, this is the Earth Yin West group type. People who are Earth Yin is represented by the number 2. That's the Earth Yin type. And the number 2 Earth Yin people must nurture. They have to nurture. So they make good nurses or good therapists, good counselors. They're always taking care of people. And then you see the 8 is the Earth Yang. And they're both, as you notice here, West group types. And the Earth 8 must create. They must always be creating, having variety, lots of people around them. And their colors are yellow, tan, and beige, as I've represented here. Now another West group type, because we have the 2 Earths, the Yin and the Yang, we also have 2 metals. Here's the metal. It's represented by white, silver, or gold. That's the colors of the metals. And we have a metal yin, which is also a West group type. You can see that it's on the West group side, and I'll talk to you about what that means when we get to how to pick your house to best support you. But right now, know that the metal yin is a West group type, and they must bring joy and humor to people. And then metal yang West group types, they must lead an organization, department, or own their own business because they're leaders, and these are the people that they picked for leaders of China. Just really quickly here, Tara Lipinski, the ice skater, was a metal yang, and she skated on hard water every day. And you can see she skated on ice. Metal is the parent of water, as you see in this chart here. But when she won the gold, she was in Japan, in Nagano, Japan, where she pulled all the energy from the earth, from the mountains around her when she was going for the gold. So metal is supported by earth. Metal comes out of the earth. So if you're a metal yin or yang type, you'd love to be around earth. Okay, next we have the water yin types. They must have peace. They're great negotiators, and they need to just flow around problems. It's much easier for them than confronting. They're like water that just flows around and goes to the most easiest direction around obstacles. And their colors are blue and black, and they are East group types. See that chart there? They fall with the wood and the fires. Those are the three East group types. Now we'll go to the wood type, and know that water is the parent of wood. It helps trees grow and plants. So people who are water types would be supported by metal, and they would love to be around trees or green grass or green plants because they're the parent of wood. Now the woods, their color is green, and the wood yin East group type, they must travel, intuit, and problem solve. They're the traveler. So anything they do, real estate or moving from school to school and teaching, anything that they would be on the move, showing real estate, highway patrol, police officers in a car, moving, any of that is the wood yin type that must travel, intuit, and problem solve. And then if we back up here 1 minute, I got ahead of myself. We'll just see if we can go back to the wood yang type. The wood yang is also an East group type, and they must support other people and businesses. They're really great thinkers on their feet, but they are great business confidants. They're kind, generous, and secretive. And their color is green. And then the fires, they're supported by wood, and they would love to be around the colors purples and burgundies and maroons, or trees, green grass. And they support earth because fire replenishes the earth. And the fires must have a career they love. They are called the workaholic, and they will go and go and go and go. And they also make great teachers. You'll find a lot of teachers are fire elements. I had a student, I'll tell you really quickly here, when I taught at Moore Park College, this student went up to the mountain skiing, and he went with 5 friends. And he took my book to chart all of his friends when he went up there because he was taking my Feng Shui course at college, and he thought it would be really fun. And he found each person in his party was one of the 5 elements. So each one, there was a fire, an earth, a metal, a water, and a wood. And then when they went to dinner that night, he looked at the book after they all sat down in the lodge at this big round table, and he said, we all sat intuitively next to the person that we supported. So that was just pretty remarkable. People do this intuitively. Feng Shui is common sense, and if you use your intuition, you can really let that guide you. Now the dominant cycle here, I'll just show you this quickly. Water puts out fire. So we need that to, when buildings are on fire, we need to have water putting out fire. And then fire melts metal, and then metal chops through wood, and then wood digs into the earth and pulls out nutrients. And then earth blocks water like sandbags. So this is the dominant cycle, and it's more challenging in relationships, but it really is a learning tool. So if you're in a relationship with like a metal and a wood, the wood will usually learn a lot from the metal. But you want to be a little diplomatic if you're working with relationships that are pretty opposite from you, and that would be the dominant chart here. Okay, Feng Shui Secret 3. Is your Feng Shui personality type compatible with your house? Let's find out. The productive cycle is used for personality profiling and to determine the house compatibility with the occupants. So, here's a great cartoon to illustrate that everything is energy. Howard, Huge, the dog, won't use his doghouse because he thinks it has bad feng shui. Well, dogs and children really are the most sensitive, and they really know what feels right. And all of us do. We all are very intuitive, but sometimes we don't listen to our intuitive self. So you'll know when you walk into a house that supports you, it'll just feel different than a house that's not as supportive. So we'll go back here to the magic square. And again, this is the chart that determines the house. Now, see the number 5 in the center that I was talking about earlier? It has no direction. So there won't be a house with a number 5. But it is an earth energy when we're doing remedies on houses and we're looking at energy and how energy flows. There is a number 5 energy. But now if you look around this chart, you'll see the 8 different house types. Okay, so once again, the productive cycle. This is the chart used to decide if your house is compatible with you. Is the house an East or West group type? And is it a match for your East or West group personality? So all of you know now if you're an East or West group. Once again, we have the earth and the metals are West group, and then the waters, woods, and fires are East group. Okay, determining your building West or East group type. Here you go. You can check this out really quickly here. These are the building types. You've got the north and the east and the southeast and the south. Those are all East group buildings. And if you look at that first column, it says sitting. So we really look for the back or could be the front of a building, but we're looking for the sitting. And I'm going to tell you how to determine that in a minute. And then the facing direction is always opposite the sitting when you're looking at a house. And then the element type is just associated with those elements, like we looked at the 5 elements and we looked at that magic square. This is where that came from. That element type matched the water, matched the north, as I talked about earlier. And then we've got the yin and yang. So these are the East group buildings that are good for an East group type person. So let's take a look at a building like this and see if we can see a north building, for instance. This is the sitting direction, which determines if the building is an East group or a West group type. So according to our magic square again, this is a water type house, and according to the productive cycle I showed you earlier, water is an East type house. The kitchen usually determines the sitting side of the house and is what determines the house type. Notice the front door is next to the garage and the bedrooms with little view here. It's at the front of the house, but so is the garage and so are the bedrooms. That makes this the sitting side of the house or back of the house, and the view and where people gather is on the opposite side in the facing direction. So it sits in the north, and the sitting side determines the house type. This is an example of an East group type house and supports water yin people, wood yin people, and wood yang, and fire yang types, any East group type of person. So just note here that the sitting side, the kitchen, is closest to the garage, so it's closest to that north direction of the house. And you would never have the sitting on the west of this house because there's no view on the east, so it just wouldn't make any sense. So the kitchen is closest to the front door side in the north, so that makes it the sitting, and then the south is the facing. Hope that makes sense. This is one of the hardest things in Feng Shui for a Feng Shui professional to actually determine a sitting and facing to get the reading correct. So if this tends to be confusing to you, it can be. So we'll go on to West Group and see if that helps too. Okay, our West Group buildings, there are 4 types, and that would be the sitting in the southwest, the northwest, the northeast, and west sitting buildings. They're all west types, and the facing side is always opposite the sitting. So we've got southwest faces northeast, northeast faces southwest, west sitting faces east, and northwest faces southeast. And you can see the type, the element types there, and whether they're yin or yang. And so let's look at a west group house type that sits in the northeast and faces southwest. That's the second one here on our west building type. Okay, this one's pretty obvious where the kitchen is. And you can see there are no windows here at all. This could be a house, a condo, or an apartment. Actually, there are no windows on the sitting side. There are windows on the view side, which is where it's supposed to be to determine the view. So notice the side with no windows or view also has the kitchen. This is the sitting side in the northeast, and once again, the front door is in the sitting back side of the house, opposite the view and the living room. This is a West Group Northeast house and supports West Group type people, Earth Yin and Yang and Metal Yin and Yang types. And usually the backyard direction is on the kitchen side of the house and is usually the sitting direction. So often you'll walk into a house and you walk into the living room and you keep going and there's the kitchen at the back and then you've got the backyard. Well, clearly the back of a house like that with the kitchen in the back would be the sitting and the living room would clearly be the facing. So I'm just showing you contradictive examples that are a little harder to determine, but this could be a hallway here by the kitchen entry to an apartment, and it would be inside of an apartment building and have a balcony and a view. So this is very easy to determine once you look for the kitchen, the bathrooms, all on the sitting side normally. Okay, Feng Shui Secret 4, suggestions to improve your sleep. Well, four-poster beds are really pretty looking, but a four-poster bed causes an uneasiness while sleeping because it feels like someone's standing next to you if you awaken in the night, especially those big, bulky four-poster beds when you're coming out of a groggy sleep and you see this post at the bottom of your bed. So it's best to avoid four-poster beds for best sleep. This one is pretty obvious. This one is the beam running right down the center. You need to avoid sleeping under overhead beams like this. Also, red in a bedroom causes a lot of energy, and it's more for active areas like family rooms or something that has more energy. But for sleep, I tend to avoid the burgundy and the reds in a bedroom unless the energy in that bedroom has a lot of money. We'll bring in a lot of potential energy for money. Then we'll bring in the fire elements to really kick that up, like red sheets or flowers or pillows or something to really tap into that good energy. But normally you would pretty much avoid this red, and the stripes and the busy wallpaper. All of that interferes with your sleep. Here's a great room. This one is really good because it is good for a peaceful sleep because the colors are very subdued and there's so many rounded edges on everything in this room. The plants even have rounded edges. The furniture has like a waterfall rounded appearance. And when they drop the drapes at night, you won't see the plants outside. You'll have a really soft, soothing room, and then you could bring it up during the day for sunlight and for the view. So this is really a great room for feng shui. Okay, get out your pencils because this is the best sleep directions for each trigram that we talked about. And trigrams are your element, like the earth yin and earth yang. So we'll begin with number 1, the water yin type. Your best sleep direction would be north first, then south, then east, then southeast. The earth yin type, your best sleep, would be southwest, northwest, west, or northeast. And that's which way your head, the crown of your head, is pointed when you're lying in bed. And also in feng shui, it's said that health is wealth. So the most important thing for good health in feng shui is a good night's sleep. And our bodies heal at night while we sleep. So placing the bed in the room to be protected from incoming energies and have the crown of your head pointed in one of your 4 best directions is really beneficial. Here's the wood yang type. the east, southeast, north, and south. In that order, east is number one, your best. And for those of you who are looking for a new love, you'd like to attract a new love, then the first direction is your best for that. A wood yin type might attract a new love by sleeping with their head pointed east. Then southeast and north and south in that order. South you might toss and turn a little, but the last one is still one of your four good sleep directions. Remember, there's no 5 because we couldn't get a direction from that. It's the center one on the magic square. So 6 is metal yangs, and their best sleep is northwest, then southwest, then northeast, and then west. Okay, metal yin is west, northeast, southwest, and northwest. And then earth yang is northeast, west, northwest, and southwest. Actually, we forgot the fire. The fire yang is south first, then north, then southeast, and then east. Okay, this is just an example for you so that you can see that as I go through this, you're writing down all these directions that are best for you so that when you put your bed in place, you can really get this. So if we look at the one on the right side for sleep, this shows an illustration of a fire yang type, and there are 4 best directions while sleeping on the right. And you can see here that number 1 is south that we just mentioned, and number 2 is north, and number 3 is southeast, and number 4 is east. And you're laying in bed and it's the way your head points. And sometimes you aren't able to even get your room rearranged to be able to do that. Now then over here, your sitting directions are the same 4. So when you're in an office and you want to design that, you just want to be able to have that sitting direction that's best for you to concentrate and work on a task. We're looking at this bedroom number 4, which is the poor bedroom floor plans. So if you can see figures A, B, C, and D, begin with the floor plan figure A on the top. The problem with this floor plan is that the bed is directly positioned in front of the door. The Feng Shui master would say, with a bed in this position, having your feet pointed toward the door, you would walk in and be carried out. This is a very compromising position for sleep and can cause health challenges. Then figure B illustrates how sitting or lying under beams causes downward pressure. As air is circulating around the room and hits the beam, it falls below on the person lying underneath. Whatever a beam crosses the sleeper's body, it has the potential to cause the sleeper discomfort and health challenges in that part of the body which is directly underneath the beam. In figure C in the lower left is another example to avoid placing the bed in front of the door, causing too much energy directed at the sleeper's head. The small nightstand helps to block the energy from hitting the sleeper directly. Even with furniture between the sleeper and the door, this position is still compromising the sleeper and should be avoided whenever possible. Then figure D shows the bed positioned in direct alignment with a bathroom. If this cannot be avoided, be sure to keep the bathroom door closed during sleep hours. Feng Shui Secret 5: How to make your office a productive and wealth-producing machine. Clutter interferes with your life and blocks your success. Cluttered spaces cause people to be less productive, more irritable, less likely to want to spend quality time in a space. Here's a fun cartoon that illustrates what happens when clutter builds up. The business becomes very unsuccessful. This is Unsuccessful Publications Incorporated. Ever felt if you let go, your life would fall apart? Letting go is one of the most freeing and profitable things you can do to increase your wealth. I'd like to share with you a story, and some of you might have heard it before, but I was clearing everything. I was clearing my closet of all the books that I had collected and cleaning everything, and I decided to donate 66 books to the library on a Thursday. And then my son moved back in, and I gave him a bedroom in my house, and that was temporary while he was moving again. And so I gave that space up, and I donated the books to the library on a Thursday. And on Sunday, we were checking into a hotel in Palm Springs where I had a gift certificate, and the gift certificate was for $125. And so I made the reservation and I called and checked in on Sunday, and the bellhop said, "Wow, you've got a great room." And we went up to the room, and it was a corner suite with two balconies, two bathrooms, a living room, two bedrooms, a bidet, a spa tub, stereo, TV, two TVs, one in the bedroom and one in the living room, a full dining room table that we catered breakfast in. And when we checked out, oh, and we overlooked the pool and the spa, and because we had the corner suite. When we checked out, the bill was $23.23. And my husband asked, "How much is that room normally per night?" And they said $600 a night. So that was pretty interesting. Pretty quick return there from donating 66 books to the library and then finding that coming in almost immediately. So when you clear the clutter and you clear a space, it always gets filled because the universe doesn't like a void. So there's always room for more when you clear your spaces. So remember that. Okay, here's a poor office. You need to avoid open shelves. And this office really is crying out for cabinets for storage because it looks like they've got files and boxes that are organized. They just need storage cabinets to put them in. So be careful when clutter starts piling up like this and post-it notes all over. It's easier to use the task to remind you than all the post-its on your computer. If you're using Outlook, you have that option. Now, here, can you feel the difference? This is so great. This is a clutter-free office. Has lots of storage with a U-shaped workspace. Notice all the counter space that provides room for various tasks with this U-shaped workspace. I love the U-shaped spaces because they really give the user a lot of surface area to do projects. Also, never have shelves, horizontal or vertical, pointed toward you when you're working and concentrating. This bookshelf you see behind the user seated at the desk chair has vertical books and open shelves which are high enough above the person seated to be fine. It's especially important to avoid facing open bookshelves with additional energy coming at you from the shelves pointed directly toward you. So take a look at your offices and see. You don't want any open shelves with that energy coming directly at you. Here's the characteristics of an organized person. They know what's important, adapting well to change. Everyone has procrastination, but they manage their procrastination. They see the forest and the trees, which means they see the bigger picture and the details. They often use ticklers to remind them of things so they can file things and then know where to find them later. And they give their stuff time limits. Like, for say, if you have a collectible and you've got all these things when you travel that you collect, and pretty soon it's like 10 years later and you've got all of these collections overflowing on your shelves looking more like clutter. They actually know which ones are the most important and they can make a decision to let go. And also Christmas decorations, when do you pull those down? You just want to make sure that you don't leave them up longer than you need to. Or holiday decorations, or lights on the outside of your house during the year when it's not during the holidays. And then having a routine. They're the people that do everything the same way, same order, same time of day, in the same place. So they take their vitamins at the same time of day, they exercise at the same location, they do their laundry on a certain day every week, they balance their bank account at the same time every week. So it's just, they really have a routine. Okay, for those of you who would like more information on clearing clutter, request your free MP3. It's a 49-minute audio, Mind Over Clutter, and it's 7 highly effective habits of professional organizers. And it's on my website at withinyourspace.com, and you just need to submit your name and email and then confirm it, and you'll get that in your email box right away, that audio. And it's a great interview I did with professional organizer Allison Carter, and it's free on my website for you. Okay, the feng shui secret number 6. Oh, outdoor remedies are so important. And outdoor remedies that help increase your bank account and improve your wealth. I've had clients report their bank account started to grow when they got their outdoor remedies taken care of. Curved lines are best for outdoor landscaping. Curved lines are soft, they help the energy to flow, people feel more at ease. Vertical lines cause people to feel rigid or uncomfortable, like standing at attention in the military. Diagonal lines have a lot of energy and may be good for more active areas. Horizontal lines cause people to want to rest or go to sleep. When you combine curved lines along a horizontal hedge next to a garden path, people feel relaxed and welcome, ready to take a relaxing walk through the garden. Flowers with rounded petals and leaves and rose arbors like you see in the distance in this picture with curved arches also help people to feel relaxed and comfortable. Avoid placing trees or posts directly in front of entry doors. I had a client with a similar home. The permanent energy in the center quadrant of the home was potential for lawsuits and legal issues, which is a great house for a lawyer or a mortgage broker or a realtor because they're doing contracts all the time. But during my consultation, along with interior remedies, I suggested the palm trees outside right in front of the front door be relocated to a different part of the yard to invite positive energy and create a welcoming flow of energy coming in the front door. She reported back to me that her husband had spent $15,000 on the palm trees, just like this one in this picture, in front of their house, and he refused to have them moved. A year later, she phoned me to say they had gotten a divorce. The palm trees blocking positive energy coming along with the permanent energy potential in the center of their home validated her life experiences. I had a client actually who bought a new home, and the builder planted trees up and down the street in the front yards of all the homes. And he planted a tree right in front of her front door in her front yard. So she hired her gardener to come at 2 o'clock in the morning and move her tree that he had planted just a few feet away from the front door. And no one ever knew, and it wasn't really a problem. So if you can catch that early on, it's really a good idea. And light posts are the same, blocking the front door, telephone poles blocking the front door, and even in businesses, watch if you have those handicap post signs right in front of your business door. A that's not good for business, and it blocks energy coming to you. Okay, here's the backyard allows clients' energy for wealth, good health, and harmonious relationships to be prone to loss. Plant dense shrubs or build a low wall across the yard at the top of the hill. I had 2 clients that were experiencing money loss from similar types of landscape, having a home at the top of the hill with no protection along the top of their yard. One was a doctor in Malibu whom his wife laughed when I told her to landscape the hill in their backyard to keep from losing energy. She replied, "That's funny. My kids always give my husband play money for the holidays because he's always complaining how his money is going away." Another client was doing fine in their home when he decided to redo his backyard. He was located on a hill like this in the photo, and he removed the entire brush on the hill and took away the railroad ties that were sitting at the top of the hill. And within a few days, he noticed money was going out unexpectedly. When I told him he was losing money without protection on his hill to stop the energy from flowing over the hill, he said, "Yes, I noticed money loss starting almost immediately after clearing the shrubs." Our feng shui secret number 7. Interiors to avoid that cause loss of money and clients. Staircases in front of the door. Avoid having staircases placed in front of the entry door, causing separation of good energy for wealth, health, and or relationships. This is clearly energy going right out the front door. And I had a client who was a realtor who called me on a house that had been listed for a long time, and all the other houses in the neighborhood were selling. And she had this exact same situation with her client. And there was a walkway with a railing out in front. And we couldn't actually do anything inside the house. You can see here, there's no room to really remedy much here. We had really good energy for wealth at that front door, and we were able to change the color of the rug and put something down there to tap into that money energy. But as far as the energy being lost, the only thing we could do was locate potted plants along that railing outside so that even as the energy went down, it stopped right there at the front door, right outside. So they really didn't lose the energy with that blockage along the railing of a lot of potted plants. And the house sold in 3 days after we remedied it. So it's just amazing how this practice works so quickly. It's pretty neat. Okay, you want to avoid having your front door in a direct alignment with the back door. This situation causes money to come in the front door and go out the back. So if you have this situation, it's best to place a piece of furniture if possible, a divider or bookcase in the path between the two doors, if possible, to slow down the energy coming from one door and going through the house and out the other door. And the Audubon House is in Key West. Some of you might have toured it, and I found it was very interesting because they were scavengers of ships that had crashed, and they had a front door opposite the back door in this home. And it was amazing how much health challenges they were plagued with, and the family just had a lot of struggles with health issues and loss of family members and just all kinds of things. And it was clearly noticeable to me when I went up the front steps that the front door was right opposite the back door. So energy coming in and going right out. A client of mine, Erica Riker, a residential realtor at Keller Williams in San Diego, California, had this to say about Feng Shui. After hiring Pat to give me Feng Shui remedies to help sell my last home and purchase another, I know how important the Feng Shui is to the success of the occupants. Now I would never purchase a home without first having Pat give me the Feng Shui energy report before making a decision. I have also taken Pat's 8-week Feng Shui online teleclass and have found it extremely beneficial to the success of my business. When my business began to slow down, I added the proper remedies, and to my amazement, my phone began to ring with potential clients, and I began receiving emails from clients I had not heard from in several years to have me list their homes. I am a believer. So Erica Riker is with Keller Williams Residential Real Estate in San Diego. So I want to introduce to you, and then we'll turn it over to some questions if you have questions about what I'm introducing here with my new course. This is my 30 video online Feng Shui crash course. And I'm so excited to introduce my new Feng Shui crash course. If you like this video I presented to you, then you'll love my 30 video course. With the help of my video producer, Gary Mann, he's just been outstanding. I've been planning and preparing for the last year to offer this video online course. And I feel we've created something you'll really love in order to learn Feng Shui at your convenience in your own time. So here's what I came up with for you. This is the premier introductory offer, and you learn from home in your pajamas. And it's online videos available 24/7. And it's absolutely the fastest way to learn Feng Shui. I've made the average video length about 7.5 minutes so that you can just do one a day and complete it in 30 days, or you can just take coffee breaks and then come back to it, or just watch it anytime you want, or go back when you're ready to landscape the outdoors and go ahead and take a look at that and see what you could do more, because we have a whole video series on outdoor landscaping. I just showed you some clips from all of our videos, but they're much more expansive, and they cover from the beginning of Feng Shui all the way through intermediate Feng Shui. And there's no travel or hotel expenses. So you don't have to be away from your family or be away from work. You don't have to travel anywhere. So it's really going to be very cool. I think you're going to love it. With that, I think we'll wrap it up. Great to have you join me.